Welcome everyone, Karina here from yarn2tog.ca, and today I'll be showing you how to sew on Yoda ears using the invisible seam. This way you can't really see that they've been sewn on. It looks like it was all made as one piece. Alright, so for this part you will already have sewn up, so you have your guy and he's ready to have his ears on. You've shaped his face, added the eyebrows and nose and everything. And hopefully you've already made 2 of the ears. And if you don't have the pattern for that, I'll put a link to that down below and you can make that up. So let's get started. For this, I like to use a few of yarn needles here. And then for actually sewing it on, I like to use the curved one for this. It just scoops in a little nicer and it's a little sharper there. So to line up your first ear, you want to make sure that the yarn is kind of at the top seam, and that's what shapes the ears a little bit. If it's kind of off a little, like say down there or something, it doesn't look as good. So you want to make sure that where you've bounded off there is at the top seam. So whichever way you're doing it, it's at the top. Okay, so I want to decide first kind of where I want them. And when I did mine here, I kind of lined it up with that outside of the eye there. So kind of that top of the eyebrow that we did is where my kind of marking point was. And then I kind of went to just the bottom of the nose there. So I'm going to try to do that again here. And when I did it, I made it 2 good finger widths from the eyeball to the ear. Okay. So that's what we're going to try to achieve here. Okay, so first I will take my ear, kind of line it up, see where I want it. So I want the top to be about on this row right here. And then I'll just take and see where 2 finger widths apart is. So that's good right there actually. I think I like this stitch right here. So I'm gonna take my ear and I'm gonna poke that top stitch in, and I'm just gonna hold it with that big yarn needle there. Can you see that? Okay, so that's just gonna be how I hold it in there while I'm working. And then I'm gonna line up the bottom one. So I want it to be here, lined up with the bottom of the nose, and it's gonna have a little bit of a curve on it, right, when we sew them on. So right about there, but still even with this, so it curves back and then comes back out. So I will mark it there. Give everything a good look over, make sure we like it. Is that too far back? Yeah, I think I'm going to come up just 1 stitch on both. There. Yes. All right. So now for the invisible seam part. And I'll show you the technique, and then you can just add your ears on. Line your other one up so that it's about the same width away from the eye and everything when you go to do it as well. All right, so I'm going to begin. I'm going to go in where I've got my yarn needle there. Okay, and then I'm just going to come out I'm going to come out in front of this stitch. So I'm going to go in the yarn needle and right out in front of that stitch. Okay, I'll take my marker out there, pull tight. So now the key to the invisible seam is I'm going to work down the front side and then I'll work down the back side, is that you're going to go up that inside loop. You're going to go back down in the exact stitch that you just came up. Move your stitch, move it over so it lines up with the next stitch. So we're going to go in the same stitch we just went out of, line it up so it comes out with that next stitch that you want to sew, and then go up that front loop of the stitch. Okay, again, we're going to go back down in the stitch we just came up, move it over, making sure we got our curve. So when it curves to the back, you want to make sure you're moving on a diagonal slightly back to line it up with that stitch where you want it. Pull tight, working up that inside loop there. Okay, so you're just going to repeat that inside the stitches, going down the one you just came up, move it over to line it up that stitch all the way around, and then I just poke it through to the back and weave in my ends. And that's how you put on little baby Yoda's ears with the invisible seam. That's it for now. I hope this video helped. I'd love to see your baby Yoda. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at yarn2tog, T-O-G, to share your work so I can see it. Or on Facebook at yarn2together. I'll share the links to those down below. Be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it.